Welcome to the breakout session, Advance with Confidence, Navigating Job Promotions and Negotiating Your Salary. My name is Renee James. I am a senior consultant in analytics and planning at Brigham and Women's Hospital. We are joined tonight by our tech support, Deborah, who will support minor tech issues. We're also joined by our speaker, Cliff Brown Jr., who will be sharing with us tonight in this interactive session. So just a couple of housekeeping expectations for today. The session is recorded, so if you do not want to be captured in this recording, we would suggest turning off your camera, staying muted, and changing your name. We are welcoming questions during the presentation. We request that you either type these questions in the chat box or use the raise hand feature on screen, and then we will call upon you and unmute and for your question. If you are having trouble with any of these technology issues or anything of that sort tonight, please direct your questions to Deb. With that, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Cliff Brown is a human resource professional with over 10 years of experience in higher education and healthcare. His areas of expertise include career development, employee relations, performance management, and recruitment. He's currently a senior HR business partner with Yale New Haven Health System, supporting over 4,000 clinical and non-clinical employees. He's responsible for providing consultative support to management staff and employees on a variety of employment issues, including conflict resolution, employee conduct and discipline, personal policies and procedures, and collective bargaining. Cliff is certified as a senior professional in human resources through the Society of Human Resource Management. He holds a BS in Business Administration and Marketing from Southern Connecticut State University and is currently completing his master's in Human Resource Management from the University of Connecticut. With that, I'll turn it over to Cliff, and thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Renee, for that introduction. Again, very honored. I really thank NACI for inviting me to present on this topic, advancing with confidence, navigating job advancement and salary negotiations. I think this comes at a very interesting time right now in the workplace, as we're dealing with a number of challenging issues as it relates to the Great Resignation. I'm sure a number of people have heard that term used time and time again. We're starting to see a number of employees starting to exit the workforce to pursue other career opportunities, personal endeavors, go back to school, and it's putting employers in a really challenging situation right now. However, I'm finding this to be now a great opportunity for employees to now leverage their background and experience and really push for more job advancement opportunities, push for higher salaries because the market is so scarce right now for talent, especially minority talent as well as professional women in the workforce. Throughout this presentation, I want to share with everyone just some data and information about today's labor market. I'll also talk about important employment laws that essentially impact anyone that's actively looking to advance in their career or dealing with challenging situations when it comes to salary negotiations. We have a series of frequently asked questions that I'm sure a lot of people have come across when dealing with those tough negotiations and situations when they're getting ready to accept a new job offer. And also I welcome questions and anything that people may have, especially if they're in the process of getting ready to transition and accept a new offer, or if they're looking to pursue career advancement opportunities internally within their organization. So with that being said, I think we can just kind of go ahead and get started. All right. And as Renee has shared before, this is just a little bit of information about my background and my bio. Wow, that picture is probably like 7 years old now. I probably should have updated that. But again, I've been in the profession, human resource profession, for just over 10 years. A majority of my experience has been within higher education and in healthcare. I spent about 6.5 years working at Yale University in their talent acquisition and career development department. And that role, I was primarily responsible for recruiting and sourcing external talent for job opportunities that we had within our healthcare system, as well as working with internal candidates and discussing career development and potential advancement opportunities for those professionals. Over the past few years, I've transitioned into a newer role within the employee relations department with Yale New Haven Health. In that position, I wear many hats, as Renee had described through my bio, dealing with a number of different HR topics. What I think is really applicable to this session, as far as what I deal with now, is having to listen to employees that have concerns about wanting to advance, wanting to take on new career opportunities, but for some reason are continuing to run into hurdles. Professionals that are coming from the outside of an organization, and they have a lot of great experience, but for whatever reason are dealing with equity challenges when they start in a position and feel as if they're not being paid an appropriate range for their roles. And I'm dealing with a lot of these issues, specifically with minority professionals in the workplace. I'll go through some of the details in the history of how that's come about in today's workforce, and again, talking in detail about ways in which organizations have gone on to address some of those issues and concerns as it pertains to equity issues within the workforce. And we can click on the next slide. All right, so this next slide I actually pulled from statista.com. This slide shows a quick snapshot of the median weekly earnings of full-time wages and salary workers in the United States for last year, 2020, by gender and ethnicity. I don't know if anyone, can immediately see anything that stands out to them. I'm happy to see, if anyone can, quickly add on anything in the chat. But, this looks a little alarming to me, I must say, specifically when looking at, the compensation ranges for individuals by ethnicity. The highest earners in 2020, Asian males, compared to the lowest earners, Hispanic females or Hispanic women. It's almost double. It's quite alarming. And there's a number of reasons why that essentially could be. Some people may say that it's related to a person's education, or they may say it's the particular industry that they work in, or it's based on individual performance. Yes, all of those things are important and taken into consideration, but the long-standing history of employers, unfortunately, committing pretty deliberate acts of pay discrimination and equity issues when offering salary ranges to minority professionals has kind of led to these longstanding issues with pay discrepancy within the workplace. Over the years, there's been work done to correct some of these issues through the Fair Labor Standards Act, the Equal Pay Act, which basically sanctions employers from offering higher compensation for individuals based on their gender, but there's still a lot of work to be done. All right, and let's take a look at this next slide. So back in 2019, LinkedIn actually surveyed over 5,164 talent professionals and hiring managers. Results from their survey show that the percentage of talent professionals and hiring managers who said their company shared salary ranges with employees or early stage candidates. The results were as follows: 51% said that they didn't share or were unlikely to. 27% said they share salary ranges, and 22% said they didn't share but were likely to. Again, quite alarming to think that employers will put you through tons of rounds of interviews, ask you a number of questions, and won't be very transparent with you when it comes to discussions about salaries. And this is again, been an ongoing issue that has affected a number of minority professionals and women in the workplace. That has changed over the past few years. If you look at this chart that I have here to the right, that shows states with salary history bands. For a long time, employers have committed pay discrimination by asking employees about their previous salary history and have tended to offer them a lower salary range. That is now essentially, in a number of states has become a ban. I know specifically in my state, the state of Connecticut, employers cannot ask for previous salary history, and they've gone even a step further by allowing candidates to ask companies about salary ranges, and employers are required to provide that information sometime throughout the interview process, as long as you are considered a candidate. So just some very important things to just keep in mind as you are pursuing career opportunities and advancement and are going into those tough negotiations with some of these recruiters and hiring managers. And click on the next slide. And Renee, I don't know if you want to read through the questions or if you want me to read through.
Yeah, I can definitely read through the questions. And I just wanted to acknowledge Sonia in the chat. Thank you for calling out that, we saw that Black and Hispanic men and women were paid a lot less than kind of the other peers in the survey. To start with the questions, there was a comment from Ola that it has changed in Connecticut. Employers have to give pay ranges as of October 1st. Thank you for that.
Yep, that is correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank
you
so
that's
great
for us. Yeah. It's definitely great for the employees to be able to have some autonomy, some power, and confidence in going to these negotiations. But what are the key components of successfully negotiating a salary?
Yeah, so, some of the key components that I think of immediately, one of the first things that you need to do is you need to do a self-financial assessment. I'm not speaking as a financial advisor, but I think it's very critical and important to first know, what are my expenses and my lifestyle that I currently have. I need to understand that information when going into a salary negotiation. Another important thing I would reference is you need to do your research. You should certainly go online, find out information about the company that you're applying for, what are the salary ranges, talk with people in the industry that you're interested in, and just try to gather as much information as possible before going into that discussion so that you're prepared with a range that you have in mind for not necessarily a range, but a dollar amount that you have in mind when going into the negotiation. Another important component, discuss your accomplishments. Everyone has a series of tasks and job duties that they complete on a day-to-day basis. Employers will see that on your resume, but what's really going to make you stand out as a candidate is really talking about those accomplishments, things that you've done throughout your career that you've been recognized for. No one asks for the exact dollar amount. I know a number of employees that will go into a salary negotiation or candidates that go into salary negotiation and will generally provide a range for a position. For example, if they know the position is between 60 to 70,000, or they've looked online and done some research and see that range presented, I generally tell people, if your dollar amount that you want is 70,000, you present that dollar amount, because what you're doing is you're giving yourself more leverage in that negotiation. When you're saying between 60 to 70, you're telling the employer that you're flexible. So if they offer you 60 or 65, they're expecting that that's a comfortable range that you're interested in because of what you told them. So go for that dollar amount that you know is going to satisfy what you're looking for. And finally, I will say, delay the process of accepting an offer. Anywhere between 2 to 3 days is accepted in the industry. If you decide that you want to think it over, you want to give it some time, you want to look through your benefits package, it's completely okay. It puts a little bit of pressure on the employer to really decide, if they really want to consider you for the offer. But I think, again, in today's market with the scarcity for good talent, they're going to basically not overpressure you to make a decision. And I think it's fair to allow for a few days before you decide to come back and obviously accept that offer. Any questions before we move to the next slide? Or all right.
So seems like there was a question in the chat from Mithun. Excuse me if I butchered your name, but the question is, what are some suggestions on best ways to give yourself the best valuable estimate? Thank you.
The best valuable estimate. Good question. I would say, again, it kind of all goes back to research, really knowing your industry as well as the position that you're applying for. I never say to myself, I want to put a hard dollar amount based on what I feel I deserve. I really think that you should seek a salary and a compensation range that is equitable, fair, and something that is being offered within the market. So again, it kind of goes back to doing that initial research in order to help determine that answer.
Awesome.
All right. And let's see, next slide.
So as people of color and members of underrepresented communities, what do we need to be intentional about doing to successfully secure a promotion? Same question about salary negotiation.
Yes, so for a promotion, some of the things that I recommend, continuously update your resume. Make sure you're capturing all of the accomplishments, your job duties, anything that's changed within your position, just because that's going to help provide leverage if you, again, decide that you want to have a discussion with your manager or apply for a promotional opportunity inside your organization. Join work committees and lead projects. I know this is a little bit of a challenge just because we all have busy days within the workplace. But if there's a particular task force, if there is a new software program that's being developed and they're looking for individuals to join the committee, raise your hand. I've seen a number of individuals in places that I've worked for that may not necessarily have had a specific skill that was needed for a particular promotion, but because they were active in joining committees and looking to find ways to be a part of different projects and lead projects, they were granted those promotional opportunities. Learn and study the role that you desire. There are a lot of people that want to go into a management position, but don't necessarily know what is required to be a manager. They don't know how to counsel employees, or there's just a number of different concerns that they have when it comes to managing. Take time, do some research, ask questions, study, read books, and really study the role that you're looking for. Find sponsors within your organization. Sponsors are different from mentors. Mentors are generally individuals that can be internal to your organization or external to your organization that can provide support and coaching and career advice. Sponsors are going to be those individuals within your organizations that are really going to advocate and really speak to your work performance that can help you with job promotions in the future. And the last, I would say, have open dialogue with your manager. When you have these touch-base meetings with your manager, talk about, wanting to pursue advancement opportunities, talk about possible promotions, and ask them if they know of any, opportunities, whether it's internal within your department or within other areas, and really advocate for yourself. I know it's a challenge sometimes just because managers I know get a little wary, but if there are any managers that are here on the line as well, make sure you're engaging in these dialogues with your employees as well. In terms of salary, discuss strategic solutions and problem solving. Really what that means is when going into an interview, again, not really talking so much about your job task, but really talk about how you're a problem solver, what you've solved, issues you solve within your organization, as well as what possible issues and concerns that you can solve for the organization that you work for and if offered an opportunity. Discuss your value. Really, big yourself up. Don't I don't want to say be boastful in a way, but really talk about what you bring to the table for the organization. Tie your salary to your well-beings and long-term goals. When thinking about individuals that work in the healthcare industry right now, I can't think of any field or industry that is more daunting and causing a number of issues as it relates to mental health, especially those that work in direct patient care. So, if you are going to be offered a position, make sure that you really negotiate that salary and make sure that they're taking into consideration your mental health and your well-being when offering you a salary, as well as tie it to goals. Your salary range is something that's going to help you achieve goals, whether it's going back to school, obtaining a home, getting a particular certification within a certain area. And don't be afraid to counteroffer. I always tell individuals that are negotiating their salaries to not accept the first offer. See if there's any way that you kind of, wiggle in a few extra dollars, if so. And I know some organizations, for example, if you work for a nonprofit, may be tight on their budgets, but in some cases, certainly see if there are ways that you can, stretch and get a few extra dollars, especially if you feel as if, again, you deserve it based on your background and experience. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, Cliff. I really like how you say, don't be afraid to counter offer, big up yourself. Just browsing Instagram today, saw Boz St. John, who's kind of a VP at Netflix, I think now, but definitely someone who's inspirational and motivational. She posted that imposter syndrome is just being so lit that you can't believe it. And I think I tie that into saying, like, sometimes we're afraid to ask for more of that promotion or more of that money because we just are afraid that, we're not deserving or something of that sort. We're not supposed to be here in this room, but we're supposed to be here and, we're deserving of that promotion and that salary bonus. So definitely have the confidence and courage to do that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. All right.
We have another question.
Yeah, I can't see if there's any. If not, I can go to the next slide.
There is a question, another one. If we could, 1 second, as an administrative fellow, what are some leverages that you may have to find a mentor or a sponsor? Any tips to find a mentor or a sponsor? Thank you.
Absolutely. In terms of a mentor, some employers actually have formal mentorship programs. And if you don't have one in place, I would generally just reach out to an individual who you feel is, idolizing, something that you feel you would like to move into in terms of your career. It doesn't necessarily have to be an individual, again, that's within your organization or within your industry. In terms of a sponsors a little bit more tricky. Sponsors generally come from just building relationships in the workplace and really showcasing your work. So if you have any other individuals that you interact with, for example, I consider one of my sponsors is working with my compliance department. I'm constantly interacting with leadership within that department and working on different investigations. And, I feel that they certainly, trust my decisions and, will do anything that is, possible to help support me if I have any career endeavors or things that I'm looking into, because they can speak to my work responsibilities.
Thank you for the question.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think leads into the next question of, how do we request a promotion or a salary increase? Absolutely.
So, the first thing I always tell people is, don't approach it in terms of, all right, you want a promotion, like you want to be able to first do, the work that is involved so that you can eventually be selected for a promotional opportunity. If that is not the case, you have the groundwork and you have enough information that you can then present to your manager to justify your promotion. Just approaching a manager stating that I want a promotion is probably not going to go over well, especially right now in today's market. But to kind of help build up your background and experience so that you can get a promotion, I start off by creating an individual development plan. If you've never heard of this, it's basically a tool you can download forms online, and it basically just outlines your career and personal goals that you have set for yourself, and helps because you can put timelines attached to when you're looking to achieve some of those goals. Job shadowing, job rotation, and stretch assignments are another good way to get promotions. I remember early in my career when I was working in the talent acquisition department at Yale University, and I wanted to transition into a new role as an HR generalist. I met with a few of the HR generalists, spent maybe 1 to 2 hours per week, just learning a little bit about their jobs, and actually took on a few job assignments when working with them, had a chance to shadow and learn more. And eventually that helped build my resume because I didn't have that traditional experience, and allowed me, the opportunity to apply for a position and eventually receive a promotion. Discuss career advancement opportunities, continuously have conversations with your manager and leaders. See if there are leadership development programs. Really stress the fact that you want to advance within an organization. There are some managers that engage in these conversations with their employees on a weekly basis, and some that, for whatever reason, just choose not to have these conversations, just because at times they can be uncomfortable. So continuously try to ask questions and really advocate for why you want to advance in your career. See if there are advancement and training opportunities within your organization. I know a lot of organizations have leadership development programs. See if you can join those, or be selected for those programs. Network inside your organization. Again, talk to individuals within a number of different areas. Doesn't specifically have to be within your field. And share your results during your one-on-one meetings that you have with your manager. Hopefully these are not just at the time that you have a review that's coming up. If you engage in weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, or monthly meetings, talk about the results, talk about the progress that you've made, so they can start, potentially considering you for a promotion if a vacancy does become available. In terms of how to request a salary increase, provide information to justify that increase. Whether you've gone back to school, whether you've obtained a particular certification, whether you've completed a particular project, or solved a particular challenging situation within the workforce. You want to bring something to the table. Data and metrics are something that I also recommend individuals do when requesting a salary increase to present. Give a dollar amount or a percentage. Managers may surprisingly ask, okay, well, what are you looking for? And, you don't want to kind of give them that blank deer in the headlights stare to say, well, oh, I wasn't expecting you to really respond. Know what the dollar amount or percentage is that you may be looking for a potential increase. And also, most organizations, if you work for a pretty large organization, you have HR representatives that you can speak to that can help coach you through, different career conversations. You can talk with them about wanting to obviously receive a salary increase. They can connect with members within your organization, if it's large enough, compensation department, and see if that is something that would be offered. And again, there are a number of factors that would determine that, but I have seen cases where employees have individually reached out and shared some of their accomplishments, and I've shared that directly with the manager, and it's essentially led to some increases for some individuals. All right.
Someone, Stephanie, in the chat asked, where can we find that tool?
The individual development plan. Yeah. So if you send your email, I can email you a few different templates. Organizations that I work for have their own individual templates, and you can Google individual development plan and you can download a form, but I can share with you some of the templates that I've used in the past. So, and Renee, how are we doing for time? I just want to double check and make sure we're okay.
We have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, that's good. Hopefully we can get through these. All right. And next slide. How can you access, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. How can you access promotion potential during a job search or interview? You can ask about career ladders and job levels. I think consulting companies probably do this the best, like Deloitte and PwC. They have very structured career ladders as far as when you start as an early associate, say if you want to become a partner of an organization. Not every employer has this information, or you can't, not every employer allows you to access this information. So you want to make sure you ask questions, have those conversations with your managers or members within HR to talk about different career ladders as well as different job levels within the organization that you work for. Ask questions about department growth, expansions, potential mergers. Anytime I see individuals that work for big major companies and they're talking about expansions and mergers and adding new divisions, I immediately start thinking to myself, all right, that means they're going to have to start to add to the workforce, and rather than continuously recruit outside the organization, I think that's a good time to really leverage and see if you can maybe be a part of some of the different projects and things that are associated with the expansion or mergers within these organizations. And request people you have interviewed with on LinkedIn. I sometimes have done this in my career where I've actually gone back on LinkedIn and actually have looked at their career history and see how long they've been with an organization. If I've seen that they've continuously advanced over the years, that to me gives me a really good sign that this company has a strong commitment to career development, and it's part of their philosophy. So that's just another good way to gauge. All right. And if offered a salary lower than expected, how should I respond? Should I renegotiate the offer? And I'm going to kind of quickly go through these just so I can leave some room at the end for some questions. Don't take it personal or offensive. Some companies may be under strict budgetary reasons, why they can't offer a higher salary. There may be some internal equity issues. So again, I would not take it personal. Counter offer and provide reasons. Again, it's okay to say that, based on my experience, I'm looking for this salary range. I know you offered me 80,000, but again, based on my background, my experience, what I've accomplished, I'm really looking for this range. So it's okay to counter offer in situations like this. Mention other competing offers. I only advise people to do this if you have a competing offer. I would not lie and try to use that as leverage. But if there are multiple companies that you're interviewing with that are considering you for job opportunities, I would mention it, especially if the employer is kind of, in essence, dragging their feet a little bit and they've expressed that they really want you for the role. I would mention to them that you have some competing offers. And again, that will, in essence, maybe help you out with leveraging the salary for that role. Negotiate other perks and incentives. Because of tight budgetary restrictions, a lot of companies may not be able to offer the ideal salary range you're looking for, but see if there are other things that you can negotiate right now. Something that's very big and important for people is work-life balance, flexibility in terms of their work schedule, remote work, seeing if there may be a sign-on bonus or other incentives that can possibly be given within your salary offer. And don't be afraid to walk away if you find that you've gotten to the point where you are kind of drained from that negotiation. Don't be afraid to walk away just because there's probably going to be other opportunities that may be a better fit for you. All right. And not sure how many more slides we have left, but I just want to quickly go through. Should I request a salary increase if I find out a peer in the same position was offered a higher salary? Ooh, that's a tricky one. I actually had to deal with that earlier this week. I had a nurse contact me saying that someone who she worked with had similar experience, was offered a higher salary than where she's currently at. Prior to discussing that, issue with your manager or HR, I would make sure that you have valid information. I would make sure that you obviously can verify certain things, such as, if that person, has this particular certification, or if a person lives in a different geographic region, there may be an underlying reason why that is. And I would try to find that information out. You don't want to provide any false information that, oh, this person is just being, paid more than me. Like, try to make sure that you have the facts and information before you talk to your managers in HR. If there are any equity issues or concerns that you do discover, there are avenues that you can take, especially if you feel or it's proven that the decision has been based on race or sex or other protected classes. You can contact your local EEOC agency, as well as the Department of Labor, who will conduct investigations to obviously verify if there is any type of pay discrimination that has taken place. Before you get to that, though, I would advise that you connect with HR to obviously have that discussion. But again, if you're not making any headway, certainly use that as a resource. All right. And what are some things I should avoid or be mindful of when asking for a promotion, salary increase, or while negotiating a salary? For promotions, avoid bringing up personal reasons. In tenure, I've been here for 10 years. I feel as if I should be promoted for a position. I mean, that's not necessarily going to lead to a promotion for a job opportunity. Avoid making threats and demands. If I don't get promoted, I will do X, or I will end up committing this. You don't want to put yourself in that type of situation. Salary increases, avoid spreading rumors. Again, I've come across situations where employees have heard that certain individuals, again, are being paid more than them, or individuals are getting higher increases. We want to make sure that this information is factual and we're not just hearing rumors when trying to negotiate your increases. Believing you deserve more just because, discussing earnings with others. I know that's kind of like a golden HR rule, and we know it happens within the workforce, but I try to encourage people to kind of stray away from, having those discussions with individuals, and understanding, again, timing matters. Asking for a promotion right at the end of the fiscal year, or if your company's going through some financial hardship, is probably not the best thing to do. Negotiating your salary offers, focusing on your need rather than your value. Again, justifying, why you feel this salary range is something that you need, based on your lifestyle, the geographic area that you work in, and avoid asking for too many changes. Once you've come to the conclusion that you've negotiated that salary offer with the employer, try not to go back and forth. Try to, it's okay to counter offer, but after that counter offer and they've gotten that offer letter out to you, try not to go back and say, oh, well, I'm looking for $2,000 more, or I would like this type of schedule. It raises a lot of hesitation and concerns for employers. So I would not strongly advise that. All right, and I think I'm down to the last few slides. If a manager believes I am not ready for a promotion, how should I respond? And I'll try to sum this up pretty quick. Ask for clarification and reasons why. I think it's completely okay to ask them, and they should be able to provide a justification why. I know it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but I think if they're, blocking you from getting a job opportunity, they should be able to provide reasons why they feel that way, as well as should provide support and training and other resources to help you if you, again, are looking to actively pursue career advancement opportunities and a promotion. It may not be the right time, but eventually down the road, there may be something that, can potentially be beneficial for you in terms of a promotion. And continue to look for opportunities. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and step outside your department if you feel that you're ready and you're continuously hitting a roadblock within your organization. And this last page, I just wanted to just share some resources with people, in terms of, looking up information in regards to salaries and job promotions. On LinkedIn, if you go on LinkedIn and you look under the jobs tab, I don't know if that link is working, but if not, I'll certainly share it with people. If you go under the jobs tab, you can actually click on a link, which will actually allow you to do a Google search, kind of similar to glassdoor.com, where it'll show salary ranges for different positions in different industries. Some of the other information, if you're ever on YouTube and want to learn from professionals within the industry about job offers and salary negotiations, I definitely recommend Linda Rayner and Brittany Haynes, fabulous minority professionals that have provided a ton of insightful information in those particular areas. LinkedIn Learning has an amazing workshop that they do called Four Qualities for Promotion, and Harvard Law School program on negotiation has a ton of articles that they share in partnership with MIT and I believe Brandeis University, where they post articles and different information about how to negotiate. And this information's been provided through some of their researchers and professionals that work with Harvard Law School. And I believe that is it. I know that was a lot of information, and I'm sure you guys are done hearing me talk. Any questions, anything I may be able to answer for anyone?
Please feel free to take yourself off mute or use the chat.
Looks like we have a question from the chat. Do you, Cliff, have any suggestions regarding switching from private consulting to working for a company? As a private consultant, my hourly rate is significantly higher than it would be if I worked for someone. However, it does not include benefits.
Interesting. So yeah, so I mean that is one of the sacrifices that you may have to consider. Fringe benefits are extremely expensive for organizations, and even more expensive for individuals that may have to pay out of pocket. But there are ways to leverage your experience as a consultant. One thing I would probably consider is look at the companies that you've consulted with. If they don't have any type of like non-compete agreements, and if you really enjoy working for those organizations, see if there are possible internal opportunities that not only fit the type of role that you're looking for, but are in the salary range that you're also looking for as well. I've seen that happen with a number of individuals that have wanted to transition into working in-house rather than continue to consult for themselves or other agencies.
Thank you for that question, Morgan. Are there any other, there's one more question I see. Which holds more value, intangibles with lack of hard skills or extensive hard skills that has various certifications?
Oh, wow, that's a very good question. Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, it's from Mithun. It's asking which holds more value, intangibles with lack of hard skills or extensive hard skills that have various certifications?
I would probably say extensive hard skills with various certifications. I think nowadays a number of employers, because of how competitive the market is, are looking for different things that differentiate their candidates. Anytime you have a certification in a particular area, it shows that you've obtained a certain level of expertise, separate from just getting a traditional degree within that program. So that is something that I would definitely recommend.
Great. So we have just about a couple of minutes left. Welcoming any questions that the audience may have last minute. Okay. Well, I guess I have one question, just kind of building off of the last question you answered. If you get rejected for a promotion or turned down for an increase. This is a conversation I recently had with my friends, and we discussed how being turned down for any of these things is not the end of the discussion. And you mentioned the clarifying questions why. One thing my friend kind of verbally said verbatim would be, what are exactly the things that I should be working on to get to this promotion, and I'll definitely follow back up with you on my progress in the next 6 months or so, just to kind of express to your manager that you're serious about this, that you're looking to build on your skills and such. I guess, do you have any other thoughts on kind of continuing this conversation with your colleagues?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a never-ending dialogue. A career, as my former manager at the university put it, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You should never, in any way, shape, or form feel deterred or, frustrated if you get turned down from an opportunity. Continue to enhance your skills. Continue to find out ways in which you can obtain additional training. Have conversations with other individuals that may have gone through a similar experience, and continue to push forward. And again, in today's market, I think it's almost in your advantage if someone's not having a conversation with you internal within your organization about career advancement and wanting to help you get to the next level. Someone else on the outside probably will entertain that conversation and will probably pay you more money than you're making. So not to say that I want everyone leaving their organization, but hey, at the end of the day, if you feel you need a change and you know that you have a certain value that you bring to that organization that you work for, go for it. And right now is certainly the best time.
Awesome. So I think that just about wraps up our time in the breakout sessions. There was a question again, kind of just interested in how you got into higher education, and I would direct, if you're open to it, Cliff, anybody interested in kind of knowing a little bit more about his background, to reach out or to connect professionally on LinkedIn, I assume.
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll also I'll quickly drop my email in the chat if everyone can see. .org. Yeah, how I got into higher ed, I actually got recruited. Surprisingly, I was working with a headhunting agency early in my career, based out of Hartford, Connecticut, and actually had a peer who the university had contacted him for a position in their talent acquisition department, and never really thought about working in higher ed. Being from the greater New Haven area, I was always familiar with Yale University, but never thought that would be my career passion to work in higher ed. But I got a message and went through the interview process. Really didn't think anything of it, and was offered the opportunity. I was actually shocked. I really didn't expect to get the job. Nothing against my skills, but again, like working in higher ed was just never my passion. But hey, you never know. That's another thing too. If you're updating your resume, you're updating your experience on LinkedIn, you'll be really surprised at the number of recruiters that are actively monitoring and watching your profile, and doing their part to try to reach out to you to see if you may be interested in other opportunities. And I would say certainly listen and certainly see what those opportunities are. You never know. This may be something that long term may be a benefit for you and your career. And ask about the salary range.
Yeah.